uh, the numbers that you have, like how many numbers, like if you have 40 numbers per 1,000 words, you will see that that blog has a higher probability of like getting cited and even getting used, even if it is lower on the rank. Okay, which is like very interesting behavior. We are going live in 6, 5, 3, 2, 1. And yeah, okay. Give me, yeah. Hey, hi guys. This is more like first sync up of the GEO community. I have like 4 panelists with me, and I believe most of them, all of us already know them. Uh, like Christian, I actually met. Christian works in digital and PR, which is your correlation authority. And almost everybody knows that third party validation is actually helping with GEO visibility. Then I have Puneet with me, very interesting fellow, especially his tool. It caught my attention because interestingly, API docs are helping in GEO because every API doc is very unique. And because of that, by default, it is getting a lot of visibility. Moreover, I see this direction of Google ARD, which personally I don't even understand what is it. But on a very high level read, I realized that API docs are going to become something. Because Sundar Pichai said in April that Google is going to become an agent manager and then did not give any clarity over it. So I think API docs is one of them, which is going to become very important. Then I have Brooke with me. I think she has way bigger followers than me. Her newsletter has like what 2,200 followers right now, and she works for LinkedIn. And again, we all know that LinkedIn is one of the trusted resources in GEO. So, and it is gaining more and more attention because the format in which on LinkedIn you can write is higher. The ICP that you are looking most of the time is which is available on LinkedIn. So people do believe that LinkedIn is becoming more and more important. Then I have John with me. John is the first person who joined the GEO community. And of course, he is the VP Analytics of Seer Interactive. And geo measurement is something which I believe, like I also get a lot of questions that how do you measure it? And not much clarity from any of the LLM provider or Google or Microsoft. And I believe everybody is facing this problem that geo measurement is uh, not the way, not sorted right now. And we need to figure out some ways to make it more meaningful because the shift is happening. Nobody can stop it. And our job is to figure out the right stuff for our clients. So yeah, hi guys. Can you just say hi to the people who are joining?
Hi everyone. Very good to be here.
Hello. Yeah. So yeah. So I will start with John because I think this is one of the question which almost everybody who is working in SEO GEO right now facing that, hey, how I am supposed to going to measure what is the ROI or the impact. Okay. And to be very honest, I think nobody has the answers, but at least my objective is whatever we know, we discuss about those things. So John, what are your thoughts on like what you are getting from the clients and how you are actually approaching this problem?
Yeah. So I mean, it all kind of starts with prompt monitoring. So the way that we think about this is, all these humans are using LLMs these days to get their answers, and so for us, we are simulating prompts. So we are coming up with prompts based on needs and customer personas, and thinking about topics and ways that we can ask our questions, and then be able to. I say synthetic because we're running these over and over again to see what the responses are. And as many of you know, whenever you type in a prompt into an LLM, oftentimes you're going to get different answers for different results. So the cadence with which you ask your questions becomes very important for us. And so, the way we look at it is we're collecting a lot of data. We've got prompts that we're running We built a full methodology to think about how many characters in a prompt, what's the nature of the prompts, what's the perspective of the person asking that. And then
Mm,
we watch and see what kind of responses we're getting back from the LLMs and
mm.
then analyzing that to figure out what it's telling us about each of the brands and the different questions that people are asking.
Okay, that is very interesting because I think you have not shared this research, Seer Interactive. Number of characters. This is the first time I am actually listening to this, that this is being tracked, and kind of it makes sense because human are not going to write an essay. Most of the humans or average, the law of the averages, they are going to stick to like number of words or the characters that they use. It makes sense. And but I have a follow-up question, like what I saw, and maybe you and Brooke both can jump in on this, is the like single step prompt, are they that good, or it is going to be like it's better to have a multi-step? Because I do believe that Brooke has a very unique perspective over this, and even I am talking to like a lot of folks that, because when I interact, I ask one question, second question, third question, fourth question. I don't, it is never like one question and then I stop. So like John, I will start with you, and then Brooke, you can actually give your comments.
Yeah, I think multi-prompting is the reality of the way that people are using LLMs today. The challenge is many of the technologies don't allow you to do that. So they're really single-threaded or single stream
Mm,
where you get your first question out. And I've actually even tried to work with vendors to say like, even if I can't get um, a specific response, can I at least say proceed or yes or some one word answer to get that second level response?
mm,
Because
mm, mm.
that's where the insights come through, is not just once. Today, we're doing a lot of testing manually with that. So asking the same prompts that we run over and over again, and then doing our follow-up prompts. But I'd love to hear what Brooke has to say about this one as well. I'm very curious.
Yeah, thank you. So one thing that you're saying, John, that you're not saying is take a step back from everything that we get from these AI visibility tools. And everyone listening in needs to realize that you have to have supplemental data analytics running on top of these tools. You have to be pulling the data in via API or MCP, and you have to be running your own logic and your own methodology, scoring system, whatever it is, you have to be running that on top of this data. Because to John's point, if you're looking at character count, or in my case, we're looking at, where brands sit within the conversation, that we have to look at, we have to pull in things like sentiment. We're tagging all of our prompts with intent, not just top of funnel, middle funnel, bottom funnel, but like informational, educational. Like we have 8 or 9 different tags that we're doing, pulling all of that data into your own system and running your own analysis so that you can glean these insights that you're definitely not able to get from the current tool set. So maybe here we can talk about how we can all get together and build a tool that has this logic baked in so that people can actually get really strong results from these tools. But generally speaking, what we're doing is we're looking at where a brand sits in this conversation and how you can influence that conversation over time. So if you take all of your entire prompt universe, and we probably track a lot more prompts than like the average brand, and that means we get more data.
Mm,
But when you're looking at it, we basically artificially create our own simulation of a conversation. Full funnel, right? You're seeing B2B buyers, that buyer journey is shrinking dramatically. And the bottom funnel intent prompts are
mm,
driving conversion. So people are seeing I've seen this across the board, not just at LinkedIn, but the conversion rate on these bottom funnel and even top of funnel posts, but any referral traffic coming from these AI agents is converting really, really high. And that's because people are having a conversation with their AI agent. It might be a conversation that's happening in a day, a week. I have conversations that last a month, but the buying cycle for almost everything out there, every vertical is shrinking dramatically. And that's to everybody's favor, right? But that means that
mm,
people are making decisions faster, which means they might be doing less research, might be leaning on the AI agent for factual, actual data, about brands when they're in the comparison state. So what we're doing is we're stacking, thousands and thousands and thousands of prompts together, and we're kind
Mm,
of creating our own simulated funnel with all of that data. And then we're
mm,
looking to see, where are the gaps? Where are we not showing up? Because that's where maybe our competitor is showing up, or if we're showing up, our competitor is being mentioned or cited before us. And so we're going very, very tactical into this conversation funnel, I'm calling it. Some people call it
mm.
that as well. I think that should be the norm. But
Yeah.
we're looking really in depth at all these tiny little gaps, and like taking that data and visualizing it is really important too. So you can see by BU, by tag, by intent, with sentiment, you could see exactly like a heat map almost of where you're showing up, where you're not showing up, and then work backwards from there to determine what you should be doing. Should you be working with a third party to, get, some earned credibility or some earned link? We call it backlinks in SEO, but what is needed, and you can see that in those AI visibility tools. So it does take more forensics, but if
Mm.
you can look at your data outside of these platforms, I think that you will see so many more levels of, analysis that you can act upon.
Yeah, Brooke, you actually mentioned something very interesting, and I don't know because I have not seen discussion over this particular topic, and maybe Christian can jump in and John can jump in. Um, when you actually see the answer and you see like 3 or 4 brands are mentioned, so what I have seen, the brand who is getting mentioned first by default is from a user perspective, it is more important. Second, I think even as a system signal, that is more like a more important brand. Okay, so there are some ways in a LLM you actually calculate the rank irrespective of how sources are actually cited. And why I'm bringing this question to Christian is I have a client. He has done some PR in New York Times, and it was like top 3 something, and it was mentioned at the third number. And I actually had the problem with the factor that it was mentioned at the third number. So, Christian, in PR or digital activities, like people actually do it for their category and all. Are you getting these kind of requests where people are specifically saying that, hey, when the list is being mentioned, like for example, in US we have Wirecutter, which takes various categories and then grade it. It is 1, 2, 3, 4. So I think the ranking here matters. Also, are people are actually asking for it for their PR activities that hey, when it is being mentioned, I should be the first one. I should not be the second one because it actually influences how I am getting cited in AI answers.
Right, it is difficult to answer just generally because I mean what we know or what we understood from the last 24 months of testing, research, and for like many of us understanding better how this new world or paradigm is working is third parties are very influential. That's no
Mm,
matter what it is, whether it's going to be communities, LinkedIn, Reddit, third parties, media. It is absolutely influential. Of course, you have all of these comparison websites, and as you say, okay, I want to be first. I need to be okay. I mean, we see some evolutions. They were working very, very much at the beginning.
mm,
We see some challenges now. I mean, I wouldn't say that some models kind of understand better because I don't think they understand anything. But yeah, I mean, each time it's getting more complex. I think that what we learned from the last probably 18 months is that neutrality is becoming a fact. It's becoming
yeah.
an essence. Okay, so when we in Getfluence were more drafting articles than listicles. Okay, we can
Mm,
do listicles, but I mean honestly, it ends up in a paid business. Whether when you
mm,
have articles, you can really explain a point of view, bring some contents to an answer, analyze with any tools in the market or your own, as Brooke was saying, a complement of your own capacity, you can analyze really and understand, okay, hey, this is the angle that I am the best and it's not well treated. And if I write on this, and if I express that with neutrality, with some nice angle on the right media, bingo, it works. And it works extremely well. I mean, it's like with one article, sometimes you can pop up uh, automatically in the answer with just one article, which is kind of crazy because these articles, I mean, some are expensive because they are big media, but some are not necessarily. And I still believe that for now we have a big gap between what we learn on SEO versus which you can call AEO or GEO, is that they don't know well how to index the web. They didn't understand that. I mean, they have a crazy capacity of analytics and statistics, yes, for sure. But in terms of indexations, they're not there yet. So you can sometimes pop up with kind of a shitty website, sorry to say, but that's going to be part of the trusted source, which that's probably going to disappear amongst the coming months, years. I mean, I don't know how fast that's going to move, but that's what we see. So coming back on, okay, how do you do with, I want to be, I mean, I have so much clients coming and say, okay, hey, I want to be first there. Well, most of the times, I mean, for sometimes we can try to negotiate something, but most of the times we more gonna tell them, guys, you have a better story to tell to the market. You have something better with content, with your own unique point of view. And if you do that, it lasts longer, it's better. Because you know this statistical, next month, one guy is gonna pay more than you. And boom, you're gone. So, you know,
makes sense.
but, you know, at sometimes it could be interesting. I mean, there's no one thing you should discard. I mean, you need to test all the channels, see what works for you. I don't want to take time.
Christian, I'll throw some stats to support you right now.
Sure.
For branded queries, it's over 70% of the citations are owned content.
Of
For
course.
non-branded queries and prompts, over 60%, I think it's 68% was the last stat, are coming from earned media third-party sites.
Absolutely.
That means that you, yes, work on your own website, your own content, incorporate social, you know, maybe now that LinkedIn is showing up a lot in these LLMs citations, maybe that's skewed a tiny bit between social and earned, but I think of social as almost like a third party as well, because people are talking about your brand. So wherever people are talking about your brand is where these citations are coming from. And so I think earned and social are so important for AI search. Like it's crazy how much impact you can have with working with a partner like Christian's company.
Yeah. If you may say, I mean, I gave a speech at Brighton, and I was using this kind of a allegory that every time someone is putting a prompt, it's like if you have a jury on, and the LLM is going to decide if you're convicted or not. And you know, your website is your claim. It will be useful. You have to work on it, absolutely, and all the ACO basis is still there. But the press is the proof, is your witness. And if you have the right witness with the right evidence or angle, bingo, that's it. You win. So
This is so interesting. I never thought like
other
this witness one. This is such a good example. Loved it.
The other thing I'll add to that is it's not generally a one and done. Like you need to have a strategy where every month or at least quarter, you're working with third parties to continue to feed, you know, that proof and that credibility, because those authority signals, I agree, are very, very important for these AI agents.
Yeah. And there are now I would like to take 2 points and then I would like to jump to Brooke, Puneet, and John. Point number 1, because Christian was talking about the neutral nature of the LLM and neutral tone of the LLM, let's say like this. But when I talk to clients, I see that everybody is talking about brand voice. So it is very confusing for me that if it is rewarding neutral tone, then where does a brand voice comes into picture? That is question for Brooke. For question for John is basically, John, we were talking about that I have seen there are something I have not written about this on the GEO community. By the way, I don't write many of the stuff which I know. There are some functions called ranking loss. Okay. And ranking loss is basically like, so problem number one is get into the top 10. Then you face ghost the citation. You can actually change it from ghost the citation. You can become like getting used. Once you are getting used, for example, I am coming on rank 6 or rank 7. Now I want to move slowly to rank 2 or rank 3. How I will do it? That is where you actually calculate the ranking loss. And then actually you optimize for it. If you do that, then you will see that you are actually changing the answer. Okay. So this is something new. I have not written about it. By the way, I don't write 95% of the stuff that I know. Okay. John, are there LLM tracking tools which are, or any tool which are actually calculating the ranking loss? That is a question for you. And for you, Puneet, because Puneet, he talked about the neutral tone. I know that API docs are working because first, they are unique content. Second, it is free visibility. And interestingly, I have not seen any SEO or GEO consultant talk about API docs. Okay, like for my clients, I already know that nobody else is going to copy their API. But now the questions or the challenge comes to me is like, can I mention my client brand on the top or like tweak it in some way? Because I know that that content is going to get crawled. So I see two benefit. One, if we are moving towards agent economy, okay, then API docs are going to become very important. Second, I know because of uniqueness, they will be crawled more. They will get more citation. Now, it as a like a SEO geo consultant, it is like, now can I use a some part of it, one section or another section, fill it with maybe keywords if I want to do traditional SEO, or maybe some tone or something or some extra like apart from that Docker definition and all, which I can use for my brand. Yeah. So Puneet, let's start.
This discussion is amazing. I'll probably let Brooke and John go. And a lot of the things that we are talking about in this discussion is kind of like tying back to what we are seeing working for our customers. And I'll let Brooke and John go and then kind of like bring it back on what we are seeing for like technical B2B SaaS companies.
Yeah. So
Sure.
Brooke, we were talking about the neutrality tone, which Christian mentioned. And I have seen like, I will take one example. So for one of my client, that is basically a sleep mask. She does not sell Bluetooth sleep mask. But I wrote an article which is on Bluetooth sleep mask. And I am actually mentioning her competitor, and that is actually winning also. So she called me and she was like, Rohit, why my competitor is getting recommended on my website? And I was like, you are not selling Bluetooth sleep mask, but you own the narration. Tomorrow, if you like add a SKU where you want to compete, by default, it is your brand who can change who is the best one. Okay. And one of the way we actually achieve this is by being neutral, being very truthful. So I actually recommended her competitor, but it was a very neutral tone. So the reason I asked this question specifically to Brooke, because if I'm not wrong, psychology, right? That is where you have done your graduation. Yeah. Brooke, so yeah.
I think when you say brand voice, I think of content tone of voice. So instead of using the word brand voice, I'm going to replace it with brand identity and like brand entity, because it's like a company that sells everything, or let's use like a B2B company, for example. They have all these different solutions for different customers. Though that is when if you're not very, very clear in your own content and what you're putting out there, what you want to be known for, then the LLMs do get confused and they hallucinate. So they might combine multiple solutions into one response. Like, you have to be so crystal clear with them. And it's very similar to personal branding. I just met with like a business coach, and he told me, Brooke, you have amazing background. You have paid media background, web development. You have a website company. You have an SEO background. All of these things. What do you want to be known for? Because I'm not going to show up in LLMs for paid media. I'm not going to show up for web development, because most of the content I put out there is SEO, AEO, AI search now. So it's very similar to that. That's what we tell brands just to start out. Is your information that you're putting out there or that exists out there accurate? Number one, there's a lot of companies, small businesses that have tons of different phone numbers out there, and there's no way for the LLMs to find it. It's almost like they get paralysis analysis, and that's when they just start making stuff up. and it's still happening a lot. So I would say for a brand, and you can still have neutrality, but for a brand, you need to know what you want to be known for. And then every communication out there, whether it's third-party review sites, your own social media, your own content, like it all has to be saying the same thing almost. Not in the same exact way. You can still be very creative, but that would be my personal advice when it comes to like a brand identity or brand entity.
I couldn't agree more, Brooke, and I'll build on that a little bit. So one of the things that we've developed, we actually call it the brand canon. And so think about it in the context of, we're not talking about like your style guides or even your corporate information necessarily. It's what do you want to be known for? Exactly to your point. Because once a brand defines that and they understand, here's how we want to show up on LLMs, and then to begin starting to produce that content to be able to say, like, this is what we stand for, this is what our brand means, this is how we want to appear. And then, of course, you put the tracking in place to ask the questions and you validate that accuracy of responses. Couldn't agree more. That is the way that we're thinking about it as well. And so when we build out these brand canons, we think a lot about who do you want to be, how do you want to be referenced, where do you want to, what do you want to be known for, really? So it gives a real unique perspective, because a lot of times a brand's reputation as portrayed by LLMs is not what the brand wants, and it's not what's in the written literature either. So being able to identify that and define it, and then to your point, to be able to go out and see, like, is this actually how we're being talked about? And then kind of made to Christian's point, that's when you start building out your content around it to say, like, here's what we really want to be known for. This is our brand. We're going to be neutral about it, but we're going to tell you what we do, what we, who we're for and what we stand for. And I think that that has a huge impact on visibility and showing up the way you want to show up versus the way that LLMs believe you should.
And John, like, sorry, Puneet, yeah, you go.
I'll probably kind of like jump in here and kind of share something similar to what we are seeing. So, by the way, we focus on EkLine. We kind of like focus on helping technical B2B SaaS companies who are basically selling and building developer tools, selling to engineers where a lot of integrations need to happen. There, the entire buyer pipeline is actually very unique, where it is no more just about being mentioned at the top where your brand hasn't been mentioned yet. It is no more just about that, but actually having your prospects go through a journey of filtering criteria. Hey, this company provides enterprise, I need enterprise grade security. The LLM says, yes, they have. What does that mean? Where do you actually get the information? What we are actually finding is a lot of those prospects, all their chats are now getting personalized. A product manager evaluating a product, or an engineer evaluating a product, or a support engineer evaluating a product are very different personas. They ask the questions different ways, and they are looking for different perspectives as well. What we have built is actually a system to understand these personas, understand where the question and what kind of questions are coming from, and bring that personalization aspect into it. And we kind of like use multiple back channel sources like support and other aspects to bring this and build this unique persona and start creating content specific to that persona to influence that aspect of the journey. So a lot of this discussion, what you guys are saying, it's kind of like music to my ears, where we are finding, like this is actually such an interesting aspect of, you guys were talking about neutral content. There has actually been researchers in the community of, documentation and stuff like that, where what we are finding is brand tone and voice matters less for AI agents. What actually matters is a lot more authoritative tone, where these are the facts that we actually state. The AI agents actually have a much bigger affinity towards stating facts than claiming the general statements. Like recently, we were actually doing an experiment with one of the customers, and the enterprise grade security kind of like came in, where I was kind of like drilling it down on a customer call, and I was drilling it down on their brand, and it was saying, oh yeah, they have enterprise grade security, And for one of the customers, it was actually showing, they provide enterprise security with SCIM and Okta and OAuth. That is a massive signal for the buyer journey, because now the buyer is like, oh yeah, I use Okta, and that is exactly what I want. And the next question in that journey is going to be, evaluate all these competitors according to my stack. And the agent goes ahead, figures out what all information I have in my memory and tries to match it. And that's where we are kind of like seeing a lot of impact in the middle and the bottom of the funnel of this buyer journey happening via documentation, where a lot of these facts and these hungry AI agents are basically looking for these authoritative data and pulling in from there.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is amazing.
And I would like to steer the discussion into one interesting topic, which I definitely want to go. I was actually talking to Puneet yesterday only, and we were discussing Index Now. So for the people who don't know Index Now is more like a service by Microsoft, which you can actually use to get your content crawled faster and be available for the AI agents. It is very unique because Google does not provide something like this. Okay, I almost every time I use it. And here I want to take this particular question and I want to see what is happening. Puneet, what is happening with your API docs? How you are actually using this? And Christian, because one of my clients recently got awarded some top 1,000 companies in fintech or something in the world, something like that. It was by CNBC. Okay. And when I went to that CNBC website and I actually tried to crawl that, I was checking that whether AI agent can crawl it or not. AI agent was unable to crawl it. And of course, there were brand ticket negotiation and all, which you do, and you actually pay a very premium price for that using that CNBC brand and all. And I was looking at it and I was like, okay, I will get zero visibility because they have blocked LLMs from crawling and they are asking for a premium price from me. Of course, I want to pay, but I should get a ROI also. So there are two questions. One, some of the PR media, I have seen that they are actually blocking. Okay. Second thing, the people who are not blocking, are they using something like Index Now, or do you get into these kind of conversations that, hey, with the PR, we don't want to wait for the Google to actually crawl. Are you using Index Now so that it is available to the AI agents in a shorter span of time? So Puneet, I will start with you and then I will go to Christian.
So Index Now has kind of recently come up, and it's actually a very interesting offering, and we have started experimenting with it to actually see what is the delta, what is the time frame when we actually submit it till the LLM actually starts crawling. We see right now, we actually see some interesting timelines, and I'll let Bing and the team kind of mature that product in a little bit more. But what we are seeing with the API docs is actually so one of the facts that Brooke actually mentioned, that 75%, once your brand is mentioned, 75% of the citations kind of come from your own content, right? That is a massive fact, because once the brand is mentioned, your buyer journey is now influenced. You have already done context poisoning and you are now pulling in data from this corpus of information, right? Now your next questions bring down my technical B2B SaaS journeys are like, hey, an engineer has been given a task to evaluate this product. Can you actually build the POC? And that's where a lot of the freshness of the API docs, hey, now can I actually tell me how would I actually integrate it and what is the effort analysis and stuff like that. I was an engineering leader at Atlassian for about 8 years. So I know how these buyer personas actually work as an engineering leader. I have evaluated a lot of products. I've built a lot of AI systems as well as part of Confluence. So it's very interesting, and they do get influenced not only by the freshness, but what we are seeing is by the structure as well. Where the information architecture of your website is actually having a much bigger impact than the structured content in the website. So we ran an experiment. We ran an experiment with our customer, with one of our customers, where we influenced their information architecture and started measuring the citations increase and also evaluating the scenarios in which they want the agents to kind of like win and be able to accomplish that task. And we saw a massive, like a significant uptake, about like, I think 45%, which
Okay.
is
That's
very
interesting.
significant compared to all the other mechanisms that we employ, you know, the structured content and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
it's an interesting world that we are living in.
Yeah. And now I will go to the question. So, Christian, this problem, like I am seeing with the bigger brands also, and we all have to do some PR, like you said, the witness. We all need that witness. But if they stop, okay, then they are not becoming the a witness. Okay. So even if you get those recognition award, then this, because as a marketing head or something, you actually have to take a judgment call where you are actually going to put your budget, and these becomes like very difficult judgment call. So first, are these PR companies using index now as a service because it actually helps? And second, this kind of problem statement, how much you are seeing with other PR agencies or like news outlets or whatever media outlets.
You know, right, I could spend hours giving you details about this, but very short answer, I think, yeah, Index now is very known from the SEO world and other indexations tools on the market to force your indexation or try to push your answer
Mm,
faster. Well, reality is that might be useful, but you know, if you do qualitative website and authority, it will be indexed the proper way. So
okay.
that's the first thing. If you go to real website that gives real content, real point
Mm,
of view, even if it's a sponsored one at the end, sponsored
mm,
is not really catched by LLMs. It could be tomorrow, I have no idea. But what is more important is not that they write sponsored, is the tones and the objectivity you're going to put inside, the structure
mm,
of the document. It took us about 18 months of research and development to make our own format. It's called AI First, and it's a specific format we designed for third parties media, where we take
mm,
the control of how we're going to write the article to put the right
mm,
angle. And here you're going to come up with whatever structure, chunkings, a way to present, neutrality again. Can you imagine to say to a CMO, which is giving you a substantial amount of money, and you're going to tell
mm,
him, you know what? Yeah, in most of the articles you're going to pay, I'm going to mention your competitor. The guy is, what? What are you saying?
mm, mm,
But yeah, because at the end, if you are just putting articles there or content, which is just, oh, I'm the best, that's it. It's going to be taken off. It's not going to be picked up. It's going to be
mm,
picked up if it's unique, if it brings element, if it brings a point of view, if it's do the job for the LLM somehow.
mm,
So the way we structure the content, the way we process it, we often have like frequently asked questions as the end of the articles, just to keep pushing the interest. The
mm,
way you're going to structure, where are you going to bring the answer? Is it the first chunk? Is it the second one, the third one? What type of elements each time? How many data you bring? I mean, LLMs love data. You don't have
yeah.
point data, you're nowhere. So, and it probably comes also to part of the questions you had before, is how fast does that react? And do
Mm,
you need to push it to index now? Well, SEO or traditional search to call it, I don't like to oppose SEO, GEO. I mean, for me, this is just the same
mm,
word moving on. But we were used on third party media, we were used that it takes sometimes a couple of weeks, sometimes a month to really taking in account. What we see
mm,
is much faster right now.
yeah.
I mean,
And
we
uh,
assume that our audience is understanding that, but we didn't separate two things from the retrieval and the corpus of information.
mm,
Of course, depending of the prompt you're going to ask, if you ask, okay, what type of crap, just because I'm French, so I'm using crap, but what type of, how do I do a recipe for crap? Well, it doesn't need to
mm,
search online. He know the answer, done. So, you know, and if you ask what type of flour I need to use for a good crap, then that's different. You're gonna call for transactional, intentional, and then of course that's something that's gonna trigger retrieval and online search, and there you
mm,
can act way faster. Today, what we see is 1 week to 3 weeks, we get results. So it's very fast. Sometimes even a couple of days, you get immediate results. With AI first right now, so we publish thousands of different verticals, different geography. We see a ratio of 60% of moving the brand. So we have a brand displacement rate, if you can say, of 60%. So one article, it's 60% of the time you move your brand inside the answer, whether it was not in, whether you were inside and you progress in your position following different angle. So it's way more effective. I do agree with some comments from, I think, John and Brooke. You need repeat, okay, and you need freshness. That's two elements. You bring one article out, it's a signal. Even if it's high authority, it's a signal. You bring 10, becomes a pattern. They are machine. I mean, they love statistics. They need the weight. And what we start, I'm working on R&D, not ready yet, but I'm working on trying to analyze what is the weight that you should have. What is the citations or mention you should have in LinkedIn compared to Reddit, compared to some press media, compared to other channels? Because if you're super known in media, but no one talks about you in LinkedIn and Reddit, suspicious, bro. Doesn't match. No, it's not natural. So that's the kind of concept we're working on.
I will
sense.
add to that as well. Christian, and I'm depending on our audience here, how deep into like the RAG systems and so forth people are, but everyone's trying to figure out how the LLMs get the information, how often, they're pinging like the Bing index versus their own training data versus whatever. So the other thing to note on that is that when you're submitting to the index now, whatever you mentioned, that's only a small percentage of the data or the times, like what is the word? So it's like if there's a big pie and each piece of the pie is like a different way an LLM retrieves data, like you're only optimizing for like this one piece of that pie. So there's so many different ways, and nobody knows the actual real behind the scenes like strategy or logic behind the LLM's process, but we're getting closer. Chris Long just posted the other day that there was like a network tag left on, something that happened for an LLM pinging or retrieving data. So it's like I think SEO people are the most insane. Like we should be solving crime probably because everybody's like, we're like, how can we hack this system and reverse it, engineer it every day, all day? Somebody's going to figure that out. And when they do, to your point, Christian, it's like, how much should I be putting into media versus third party versus my own content? And I really honestly feel like the only way to answer that is different for every single brand is to audit yourself, pull all of that data, analyze your own data, and see where your gaps are and just put a roadmap together. That's the other thing. People don't know where to start in AI search. Where do I start? Do I optimize everything? Like that's not that's not practical for most brands today, and it's very overwhelming for them. So somebody needs to grab these brands and say, let's audit this, let's reverse engineer our own data to figure out where we have gaps, and then just start testing, put a year-long roadmap together and just do some earned, optimize your YouTube, focus on your company page on LinkedIn, and start to see where you're able to, again, influence the conversation is the goal. The goal, in my opinion, is not ROI. I think that's going to happen for companies when they figure out this like matrix of actions to optimize AI search.
By the way,
I'll probably just add, sorry. One thing I'll probably just add, Brooke, when you and Christian were kind of like talking about, I'm coming from my engineering background and, building these LLMs and building AI agents that basically serve a lot of this purpose. For all, all the SEO folks, if you guys, one way to look at these LLMs and these AI agents is as black box. And you try to experiment and understand what they're actually doing. And you keep on running experiments and keep on learning, okay, this is what's sticking, this is what's working. Another way, which we actually do it day in, day out, is actually build an LLM, build an AI agent to actually see how it actually works. And that information, how the AI agents actually function internally, once you build that, it'll be an eye opener for like, oh, like these are the exact steps. This is how the reasoning actually works. And this state, the reasoning pulls this kind of content. A lot of that comes in together. So there are two ways. I highly recommend everyone, if they haven't done it already, go ahead, build an AI agent for themselves, see how it actually works and functions. That'll be a very good learning.
Yeah. And there is one question from Sanjay. And Sanjay asks, and I will go for John with it. I think it happened like 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, that in Perplexity, now with the sources, you are getting a badge. Something like trusted, credible, and something else. So is it something, so his question is basically, is it something which people care about, which people should track? And I will add one more. So this is his question, but I will have. So I was even also checking it, that can a non-credible source become the top source for some particular question in which I already have a credible source. So I did saw that the opposite thing is happening. So right now I feel they are still building it, but are you seeing this in like in your measurement? Have you started considering it or not? Like that is the question.
Yeah, I mean, we certainly spend a lot of time understanding, review and reference sites for just that, what you're talking about, the credibility. And so, I mean, I think it's a great thing. I think if you can have a credible source, some of the things we'll see, if there are reference links to publications and trust, obviously those are credible, but there's a lot out there on the web that we don't know about. So, I mean, I think that's a great thing. I will say though, it's a little fragile in my opinion right now, because
Mm.
if something gets authorized as credible, if we'll call it that, and then you go to it and you're like, what is this? This looks like AI slop to me, or this isn't
Yes.
credible. Like, who's governing that system to determine the credibility? And how those factors weigh, which I think, to the earlier discussion, is why we rely on community, because the community discussion, whether right or wrong, that's people voting with on their own credibility. So I think the system today, as I understand it, we don't have those checks and balances. There are certified companies that do that, of course, but if that were to surface as a popular trend, that credibility, the factor in who's certifying it, I think needs some rigor behind it.
And that makes sense. And because Brooke is here, and so many times people ask me, Rohit, why your community is not on Reddit? Why your community is not on Slack or Discord? Okay. And let me give my perspective. What I felt that Reddit, Slack becomes too personal. There is no outside access for the community to actually be visible. Reddit, I did felt that it is going to become a spam. I had the highest amount of trust with LinkedIn, and I will give first a burger to LinkedIn. Please let them know. In the events section, the people who have joined, if I click on show all, it is not sure. It is taking me to a different page. So that is a bug LinkedIn should solve. Okay. And just for a knowledge, my wife was one of the lead developer in LinkedIn events. And I showed her also because of this event that, okay, this is a live bug. They should solve. I think she has reported also. And the second thing, I feel like it should happen because it will grow LinkedIn, help LinkedIn grow a lot. That they should give more connections because AI slop is real. Okay, that is the truth. AI slop is very extremely real. And now these social signals like communities will become like actually much more credible source, and it will become more like how the moderator manages it, because you can have a community with AI slope also. That can also happen, but if there is a good moderator who is making sure that the quality of the content is higher, then suddenly that community becomes very like important. And interestingly, like the GEO community is one of the most mentioned. I get a decently good traffic, a lot of recommendation. And the reason is we like, so with LinkedIn, I believe this is one place where I think LinkedIn should definitely work, because the amount of opportunities which brand are left with to actually work and create that credibility is shrinking. That is also true. That is one of the problem of AI slop. So like I look at LinkedIn in that way. Okay. I get a lot of problem. I cannot email my the people who are part of the group. I feel as a user, I feel that LinkedIn should solve it. Okay. So like these are the challenges, and basically, Brooke, what are your thoughts about this LinkedIn community? Because for pages and all, I am already saying I recommend all my clients, please go engage on LinkedIn. Please build the credibility on LinkedIn. I also say to almost everyone, you should have a personal brand on LinkedIn, because I don't know if in future maybe a AI agent is speaking on my behalf. So as a like I always try to tell people that please build your personal brand, because jobs are collapsing. Then the opportunity of getting a job also depend on how professionally people see you, that you are expert in some particular field. So it is like off the GEO, but I tell, like I do talk to a lot of marketing managers. I always tell them, hey, start building your personal brand. Every other company which is on LinkedIn should look at you and say that, yeah, this marketing guy is so good. The present company that you are working upon, he should be like that. Hey, he is doing so much for the present company. I want to hire this guy. Now I want this guy because every time I come to LinkedIn, I see that marketing manager being very shameless about promoting his client or his company. Okay. And I always tell, like, the LinkedIn will become more like a not just a social handle or a place to like find a job. It will become a place to be visible to find that job. Okay. So like, Brooke, your thoughts on this? Like, I see the importance of LinkedIn going up, becoming much more important.
I do too. And for some of the stuff that you started with, I'm not on product, so I can't influence product. That's a different department. But I will say that what we're seeing is that LinkedIn does have higher authority signals for the AI agents slash LLMs, because it's Brooke Weller tied to what I'm saying. And that difference there with Reddit is that Reddit is like anonymous users. And
Hmm.
there's more ways, I think, to hack Reddit right now to get seen in AI visibility. But every single model that rolls out, and we're seeing these LLMs rolling out new models constantly, they're getting more sophisticated, and they do care more about being right and
Hmm.
being accurate. So they don't like they want to complete, adoption. So they're all fighting to be the most accurate LLM as far as responses go. And so they're leaning towards LinkedIn content so much more because it has a higher authority signal. It's company name plus XYZ.
Yeah.
It's your name plus XYZ. And so I think that, again, back to your own building your own authority and building your own brand identity out there, I think LinkedIn is super important. Like, this is like your own company page that you can optimize, and you're controlling what you're putting out there. And LLMs are grabbing like even your profile, the tagline under your profile. Change it today and see how quickly an LLM picks up that change. So they're really, really tapped in to LinkedIn. And I think communities, I think probably events, probably, I
Hmm.
know for sure company articles get cited super quickly. We have a couple of like LinkedIn creators that, we're seeing them, posting an article and it getting picked up like hours later. And
Hmm.
again, I'm not in product, so I don't know the minutia around why that's happening, but definitely I will promote LinkedIn all day long as a very strong AI signal for these LLMs because of that.
By the way, we like in Geo, we always go for tricks also. So I was talking to one of the guy and I was like, I can use AI slot to get more visibility. And the idea was like, don't mind, I know you are from LinkedIn. I was like, I will go and write AI slot talking about my brand nonstop on LinkedIn. And the reason I will do it because I am not using my crawling budget of my website. Okay. I am not going to get punished if I write the wrong content. Okay. My
It's a good
probability
test.
of
It's a
getting
good test.
yeah. So we actually thought about like doing it, and because you can go for some content explosion, not go for everything, but some content explosion for the this on LinkedIn talking about your brand. And by the way, this is a very important point. I never like maybe I thought about it, but that LinkedIn has a face. Like a comment on LinkedIn has a face, and Reddit is like anonymous, which makes a lot of sense because once you have a face, you are putting your credibility that what I am saying, this is me who is saying this. So logically, like as a trend, I think it should become more and more important. And I think, guys, we are like 54 minutes, and I, of course, we can discuss for like 5 hours, 10 hours also on this topic. But let's wrap it up. And at last, I would like to please one by one we can go. We can start with Bro, Christian, Puneet, and then John. That what do you guys like? Anything? Talk about the company you are working with, talk about the product that you are serving, talk about G or something you are looking. And then do talk about the GEO community because I am definitely going to do it next time also. Okay. And most probably I will invite other people also, and you, I think you will come in future again. Okay. So Brooke, let's start with you.
Sure. So I, work with LinkedIn, but I'm also launching a AI search coaching program. So for anyone interested, please DM me. I'll be announcing it a little bit more in the future, but I just want to teach and I want to talk. Like I want to talk about AI search all day long. And I want to learn. I want to learn from other people and what people in the industry, like all of you extremely smart people are doing. So thanks for bringing us all together. And yeah, I'll pass to John.
Yeah, and I have. Is the GEO community getting some discount? The people at GEO community, they should get some discount. I will
Oh,
ask to each
100%.
one of you.
Yeah. Yes, 100%.
Yeah,
GEO
okay.
community, 50% off. No, I don't know. I don't know that I'm going to charge actually for like this type of coaching or
Like,
talking. I don't know yet, but just right now it's
please,
free.
I will tell you, please charge because I do see a lot of courses which are not like it's my personal opinion. I can be wrong, which are not that useful because of the rush of getting rolling out a course or building authority over GEO. People have actually written. I call it SEO slop. Okay, SEO team can feel so bad over it, but I do call it because nobody waited to actually get it correct. People were like, okay, let me write something. Okay. And I feel very different. I am like think a lot before writing something. Okay. And yeah, John, let's go to you.
All right. I've got just a little bit of maybe words of wisdom or guidance for everybody that's trying to figure this out and figure out how to measure it really. What I want to say is don't just take AI visibility as an aggregate number because we've talked about this a little bit today. All of the platforms are different. You're going to have different visibility in ChatGPT than you are in Perplexity, than you are in Claude, than you are in Copilot. So very much think about how you start to segment your data. And Brooke had a great point earlier. Pull it out of your platforms. We dump ours into BigQuery so that we can do analysis. Use whatever tools you want, but stay away from the aggregate. The aggregate numbers are dangerous. And go deeper by looking at what are the topics that are important for you because your visibility may be very low overall, but when you get into a topic that's important to your brand, you might find out that you're doing very well. But when you start to slice it and dice it and segment in that way, that's when you really begin to learn about how your AI visibility is manifesting against different topics across the different platforms. So don't just take whole numbers or the aggregate numbers. Please do dive in and do some segmentation because they're going to tell different stories once you start to break them apart.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. And I was getting my work reviewed by a guy who builds LLM. And interestingly, like we were in conversation, I was like, I have done this for client. He asked the client got mentioned. And I was just listening to him and his follow-up questions were all negative. And after the conversation, I was thinking that why, like, for example, he asked that who is best in this example. My client came and then he was like, it should not be best. Why do you think it should be best? So he was trying to check that whether it can withstand the negative play. And I was just thinking after that call, I was just thinking that why the whole check or the way the brand was checked by a negative sentiment or a negative approach. But I think that is very much required for something like it's not just the aggregate numbers. It's a whole story. Okay, I will say GEO is more like a story, not like just looking at the aggregate numbers. Yes, we have to look at the aggregate numbers because overall we have to be explain our ROI. And let's Christian, let's go to you. Last thoughts.
Yeah, probably no. Just thank you for being with you. It's been more than 25 years. I'm on the internet industry, if I call it this way, and very passionate. I still love what I'm doing. I feel like we are at the beginning again. So really excited. We have built with Getfluence. I'm lucky because we're just about 30 people, but we've built so much expertise on that, and so really love what we do. We have a lot of success with what we're doing right now. In one word, it works.
Yeah.
You need to prepare that. There's many channels that probably works too. Totally agree with that. But yeah, everyone is trying to find his own recipe of okay, what works and what doesn't. And I think we have part of the answer. So please LinkedIn me just to talk or for more DM me. No worries.
Yeah.
Always open to share.
And for the US, because our audience is mostly US and in India, because I am Indian, and then US because I am living in US. Um, the brands who are actually thinking of doing PR or digital media in Europe, Getfluence is Europe based, so you can reach out to them or you can use his
Yeah,
portal.
we work agnostically. I mean, we have more than 15,000 media under agreement in US. So
Oh, nice.
we're absolutely. I mean, the company is originally for Europe, but we're absolutely not dealing with our clients just in Europe. And actually, I mean, that's a fact that we didn't talk, but we could have. I mean, at the very beginning, and you could see that with query fanouts. I mean, most of this research or part of the research, whatever language you had, as partial English search, and this
Yeah.
tends to reduce. So now it's getting more and more local. But so we have used a lot of media to influence English media or American media to influence actually all the languages and other geographics. So that sounds a little bit crazy, but sometimes it's something. And that's kind of shrinking. English is still very important. Even if it's
Yeah.
shrinking, still very important.
Got it, got it. Yeah, I will most probably reach out to you. I don't know about others. The reason is I actually have some requirement. So I can't say about others, but I will reach out to you. And yeah, Puneet, any last thoughts?
I think, Rohit, when you were talking about the person, always doing those negative tests, I bet they were coming from an engineering background. Very
Yes.
skeptical people. So I'll probably take, I felt inspired by John's thing to kind of like share words of wisdom. I would probably, take that route. For a long time in this, in this world of documentation and knowledge bases, this was kind of like treated as a post-sales motion. No, once a sale has happened, we will give our customers this documentation and this knowledge base. What we are seeing is actually companies winning this in the pre-sales motion. Now, even I'm actually seeing marketing budget being allocated to companies that are building developer tools to actually focus on this aspect. I would say, think about it. And if you are a company that is actually building and catering to engineers, to developers, building this specific tool set, focus and emphasize on your docs, be it with me, be it with EkLine or something else, that's absolutely fine. But the teams that are doing this allocation are actually winning and they're seeing a very big impact.
Yeah, I think AI is becoming the best salesman any company can have, which is like, that is how I look at AI. Okay, it is like the best salesman. If you have, nobody can beat it. And that's why GEO is important. Simple, like in one line. And yeah, I do see like this needle is slowly moving. AI has become like the gospel of God. It recommends you something and then people are not using their brain. The maximum thing is like they are giving some negative thoughts. Okay, like, okay, why this brand? And these are like the follow-up conversational questions in the funnel, that why this brand, my budget is this much, they can recommend me something else. So it's like a very interesting field. Sometimes I feel scared, like every time I read the 10 papers, then there are next 10 papers. Every time I think that I have figured out something, then after 1 week, I'm like, I don't know anything. It happens like that. But yeah, very interesting. And to be very honest, very like my last thoughts are like it's like it's overwhelming. It's frustrating. It's overwhelming. It's like I enjoy it. Sometimes I feel frustrated that what the fuck is happening. Every time I sleep and then I wake up, there are two features, and now I have to think what is happening. Every time I look at LinkedIn, there is a war going between SEO, GEO, AEO. Then other wars also, which I am not aware. I do enjoy it sometimes. Sometimes I participate also, just for fun. So yeah, it's quite overwhelming for the people out there. I will say, guys, it's not impossible to like GEO will be solved, and understand that solution of GEO is not like you crack LLM. Solution of GEO is like you have a method or a process to actually increase visibility or awareness for your client. Okay, it can be something very small as writing a Reddit. It can be something very difficult as understanding the whole LLM and the retrieval system. So, and one important thing which I felt from last 1 year is, by the way, the first guy who actually showed me a GEO trick, and he actually tested it in front of me. And of course, he was the number one. And he did not have any SEO or GEO background. It was a small setup with two people. And I was in some Stanford cafe, and I was bragging about that I know GEO. I started working on it. I'm too early and all. And he was like, Rohit, I also do it. I was like, what the fuck? Nobody has, even in Bay Area, nobody has heard about GEO much. And then he showed me, Rohit, can you search this? It was a long tail query with a location, California location, which is a very big location. And he was like, Rohit, can you search this? Very competitive keyword. And he was ranking one. And I was so shocked that a guy who is not from a SEO background has come up with something and he is winning. And then he showed me his logs and everything. Extremely good result. And that was more like my first interaction. I normally don't go out. And at that time, I realized that the innovation or the results can come from anybody. Okay. And then when I see on online people bullying each other and all, like, you are wrong, you are, I see like, guys, you also don't know it. Nobody knows it. Truth is that everybody is like doing something. Okay, guys, bye.
Thank
And
you.
thanks a lot for joining.
Bye,
Thank you.
Okay,
everyone.
let's meet
Bye.
up, sync up again. Bye bye.
Bye.